Those are my brothers, Yahweh Shemala Thabah Shimi Hawashai to all my sisters. This is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, which started out on 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under command of General Yohana. What we do is we teach the Black, Hispanic, and Native people that they are God's true and only chosen people. And being God's true and only chosen people come with a set of responsibilities. And those responsibilities are stated in the scriptures. They are stated in the Bible. And what they do is they teach us how to love each other. They teach us how to take care of each other. They teach us how to be around each other. You know what I'm saying? Those laws teach us how to love each other. You know what I'm saying? The problem is we're not loving each other. We are loving our enemies. Our enemies get all our love, while we just have our people in the most hated on the planet. And we are contributing to that hate of our own people. You know what I'm saying? We giving all our love to our enemies when the Bible states we should be giving our love to each other. You know what I'm saying? In today's class, you know what I'm saying? I want to point. The Bible says we got enemies, and we're going to discover who those enemies are today. We're going to discover who those enemies are, point them out, so you can stay clear of them. Stay clear of them. You know what I'm saying? And with that, if you have any questions, you know what I'm saying? If you got any questions, type them on into the chat. We're going to type them into the chat so I'll be able to see them. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be anonymous, just type anonymous. You know what I'm saying? I won't give your name or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I won't give your name or nothing. Just type your questions in the chat. All right. Well, I'm gonna give y'all some time to type y'all questions if y'all have any. I'm gonna get my share on. And if you can, Baba Kashar, can you share this class along with me? Because this truth ain't just for you, man. You gotta spread it. You gotta, you know, spread that truth out. You know what I'm saying? So let's get with it. I'm gonna share it real quick. Today we are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. I gotta pay to get I gotta pay money to get on TikTok live through the laptop. I'm gonna work on that though. You know what I'm saying? Get on TikTok, get on Instagram. I'm gonna work on all that. But if you got any questions, type them on in. All right. The first scripture we're gonna go to is Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Let's get with it. Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Oh yeah, let me type it up in here. All right, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies. Listen, this is straight up and down curse, a punishment from our Father. This is a punishment for our Father for not following his law, statutes, and commandments, which today is conveniently called law. It's the law class. That's the subject of today. And for us not following his laws, for the desire to eat pork, the desire to sleep with another man's woman, the desire for a woman to be on the stripper poles and so forth and so on. Because of that, we are to serve our enemies. Who do Black people serve today? Who do you serve today? I want you to answer that in your head. Who do you serve today? Have that in your head. All right. Now, I'm pretty sure you formed some answers, but let's get a little more clarity. Let's continue. You know what I'm saying? Which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst. Who do we go to when we're hungry? Who do we go to if we're hungry? If we need to buy food, we have to go to grocery stores that are owned by our oppressors. They're either owned by Asians, they're owned by Caucasians, they're owned by East Indians, they're owned by somebody that is not of our people. And if it is somebody of our people, who do they get the groceries to sell you? Where do they get that? Where are those groceries coming from? Where are those groceries coming from that you consume? See, the problem is us as Black and Hispanics, we are not producers, we are consumers. And in being consumers, you know what I'm saying? That is a form of servitude. We are giving our hard earned money to other nations. You know what I'm saying? We're giving our hard earned money to people who have no care or any love for us. Period. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. Oh yeah, and if you're thirsty, and if you want some water, if you want some some soda, you know, if you want anything to drink, you got to go to our enemy for it. No, there's no Black owned water company. There is none. If you want some water, you have to go to our enemies. Who you paying that water bill to? If you are paying that water bill. Believe me, that water bill is tied into your rent somehow anyway. So who are you paying it to? Let me tell you who you're paying it to. Your enemy. Your enemy. Because that's what the scripture just said. We got to serve our enemies in the wants of hunger and in thirst. Let's continue. And in nakedness, like who do we get our clothes from? Who do we get our clothes from? You love those Christian Dior's, those Marc Jacobs, those all those other brands out there, Louis Vuittons and all that, those Nikes, those Adidas. You love all that. You have to wear that because you can't walk around the street naked, so you have to get it. Even the no-name brands. You go to the Dollar Tree. Guess who owns the Dollar Tree? It ain't you. You go get that shirt from the Dollar Tree. It ain't you. You go to the gas station and buy some T-shirts. It ain't yours. So you have to serve your enemy even in the want of nakedness. If you want to wear clothes, if you don't want to be naked out here, if you don't want to catch a cold, you know what I'm saying? You want to cover up your body, you got to go to your enemies for it. We own no textile plants. There's not one Black owned textile plant. So if it's a Black owned fashion line, guess what? That fabric is not. There's not one Black owned textile plant. Not one Black person on this planet is making fabric. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. And in the want of all things, look, for everything we have to go to our enemies for. Guess what? To be born, you got to go to your enemies for the world to recognize that you even exist. You can't get a birth certificate. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You got to go to the hospital, to their hospitals, be born. And if you don't go to the hospital, let's say you had the birth at home and you have, well, what they call those ladies? Those ladies that actually help women give birth. I forgot. If you know what I'm talking about, type it in. But those women that actually help women give birth, you at home, you know, that woman's helping you give birth. Guess what? You still have to go to the government for the government to recognize that child is even alive, that child exists. You know what I'm saying? Birth certificate. And then even if you die, you're not recognized dead till you get a death certificate. You're not recognized dead till you get a death certificate. So you got to go to your enemies even to be dead. For the want of all things, no matter what you consider, what you want to do, even if you want to enjoy yourself, go on a nice vacation, go to a party, sip a little strong or whatever, you're going to have to go to them for the want of all things. If you even want to look good, you're going to have to go to them for the want of all things. Look, sisters, who do you go to get your nails and hair done? You got to go to Asians to get your hair and nails done. Matter of fact, let's go to a video. There's something that happened not too far long ago. I think in like London. See, it just don't happen in America. It happens even in places like London. And let's see. Hold on. We're gonna get with it. Hold on. Slack. Let's get with this video.
A shoplifting incident in London has caused a rift between Asian and Black communities in the area.
Oops. My fault. My fault.
A shoplifting incident in London has caused a rift between Asian and Black communities in the area. A video of a South Asian shop owner grabbing a Black woman by the throat for alleged shoplifting has sparked outrage. Protesters are now calling for a boycott of certain Asian-owned shops. The incident happened on Monday at the Peckham hair and cosmetics store in London. Now the store...
Look at that. My man got the sister by the neck. This oppressor, this demon, this evil, just for the sake of, keeping this channel up and running. I ain't going to say what I want to say. But this dude got his hand around the sister's neck. Now, peep to why it is. Peep to why. I mean, I know it looked like she might be stealing everything, but peep to why this oppressor got his hands around this woman's neck.
Is owned by Sohail Sindo, who has roots in South Asia. The video shows Sohail physically restraining a Black woman from behind.
South Asia, that's like East India, Pakistan, all that stuff. You can tell this man's around that area. Yes, enemy.
He appears to...
I know y'all love Nicki Minaj and stuff, but Nicki Minaj is not of us. She's not our people. She's part of their people.
Grab her by the throat. Showing resistance, the woman then swings her basket towards him. Sohail has claimed that the row broke out over a no refunds policy on some hair products. The woman allegedly took some items from the shelves and tried to walk out, and he tried to stop her.
See, that's what it was about. It wasn't over theft. It was over a no refund policy. So the sister said, oh, no refund? Here, keep this. I'm going to get what's owed to me. She believed that stuff was owed to it. Who knows what was wrong with the stuff she was returning? But it's because of no refund policy. That's what it was about. She wasn't stealing or nothing. She was just trying to take what was owed to
her. He has expressed regrets over the incident, however, has insisted that he did not choke the woman. The woman was arrested on suspicion of shoplifting and later bailed pending further inquiries. Now, police say that a further investigation is underway. However, the rift has
my man said he did not have it. He was not choking her. The video clearly shows his hands, both hands around the woman's neck.
Deepened. Calls have grown to boycott Sohail's shop, which had already closed after news of the incident spread. Protesters have been gathering outside his shop. His store has been covered in signs that read, "Parasitic merchants out of our community." Some signs included phrases like "Black women matter" and "Black women deserve better." Not just this, many in the community are now also raising calls to boycott all non-Black owned hair shops altogether.
See, the world is starting to recognize that we have an enemy. You know what I'm saying? The world is definitely starting to recognize that we have an enemy. So now you see our enemy. We only see our enemy when they do something to us. They were our enemies before that assault. They were our enemies way before then. You know what I'm saying? But we got to even go to them for the want of all things, even to be pretty. Even for sisters to be pretty, they have to go to their enemies, and going into your enemy puts you in danger. So Black and Hispanic lives are in danger every day. That's why we got to come together like the scripture says. You know what I'm saying? That's why exactly why we got to come together like the scripture says. But let's drop that. Let's drop down 20 verses. Drop down 20 verses. Now let's go a little further. Let's go to 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar. Like, look, these nations that are our enemies, man, they're not our neighbors. They're not our neighbors. I know y'all New Testament, you know what I'm saying, Christians would like to believe love thy neighbor. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That includes everybody, but no, it doesn't. These nations are from afar. They're not from around here. They're not from around these parts. They don't know the pain and the struggles that we go through on a daily basis. They don't understand none of that. You know what I'm saying? They are not our people. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord shall bring a nation from afar. The main nation that's talking about is the one that we love the most. The main nation that's talking about is the king of oppressors, and that is the Caucasian people. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. From the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. And what is their symbol? Do you know that every Caucasian empire symbol was an eagle? Every Caucasian empire symbol was an eagle. From 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 Greece to Rome, even all the way down to America, France, England, all of them, their symbols are eagles. So as swift as the eagle fly, that's how quickly they came upon us. That's how quickly that oppressor's hand was around that sister's throat. Let's continue. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. We don't understand what these people are talking about, period. Even though they taught us their language. To this day, we don't know what they're talking about. This ain't our language. They speak a whole different language, even though it's the same words. They don't know what we're talking about. We don't know what they're talking about. Let's continue. A nation of fierce continents. Man, these people are just mean, man. That man wanted to take that sister's life. He wanted to strangle the life right up out of that sister. You seen it. You seen his hands around that woman's neck. All because she was just trying to get what was owed to her. Because they have a no refund policy. She just wanted what was owed to her. Probably was nothing wrong with what she was returning anyway. Probably got the wrong grain. I don't know the wrong texture of hair. I don't know how y'all sisters do. And they would not return their hair over that. It's probably something small like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. Man, they don't care if you're old or young. You see what's going on in the streets of America. Cops are killing old women all the way down to little boys, man. They don't care if you're male, female, old, young, smart, dumb, rich, poor. They don't care. They got an ill thirst for our blood, man. An undeniable thirst for our blood. Let's drop down to 68. All right, let's drop down to 68 so you can understand a little further who our enemies are. Because it's unsafe to walk around thinking that you got no enemies when your enemy's next to you every day. It's not exactly a smart way to live it to think everybody should love everybody because that's just not possible, natural, or anything. That's just hippie talk. It's nothing real about that. You know what I'm saying? So let's get with it. Oh yeah, let me put it down in here. Let me put it down in here. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. All right. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. The Lord said he's going to bring us into Egypt again with ships. The word Egypt is not actually the name of the land biblically. The land that we know of Egypt today is not actually called Egypt biblically. Biblically, it's called Mizraim. Mizraim. That is actually the name of the land because of the forefather of the sons of Ham. Ham had a child called Mizraim. And that land was named after him because that was the land he took over. That was the land he grabbed up. And his descendants cultivated and grew a culture and an empire on that land. You know what I'm saying? And when they did that, they became strong, powerful, and mighty. And with that power came the thirst and the lust to oppress people. And the main ones they oppressed was the Black, Hispanic, and Native people, the Israelites. So Mizraim got a reputation for being oppressors, for being slave drivers. You know what I'm saying? And the word Egypt is actually a Greek word. That's a civilization that came well after, but it's actually a Greek word which means bondage. That's what it means. It comes from the word Egyptos, which is a Greek word which means bondage. That's why the modern name of that land is Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And it says, you go back, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. They walked out of that land. They straight up and down walked out of that land. How are they going to go back in ships? So that's not possible. So what is it talking about? It's not talking about the land. It's talking about the reputation and the spirit of that land and those people, which was bondage. That was the reputation of it. So that's what Egypt means. So let's replace Egypt with the word bondage. And the Lord shall bring thee into bondage again with ships. Who went into bondage with ships? Who went into bondage with ships? Check it out. All throughout history, that only happened to one people. That only happened to one set of people. Who did that happen to? Put on your thinking caps. Slovakia. I don't like dust on my laptop. But think about it for a sec. Who were those people who went into bondage by ships? If you don't know, let me tell you. Those people were Black, Hispanic, and Native people. They're the only ones who went into bondage with ships. Only one. But it goes further detail than just bondage with ships. Let's continue with it. By the way thereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. So that physical land in the same verse is telling you that physical land we walked out of, we ain't going to see that no more again. We ain't going to see that land again. What does that mean? That means it's not talking about the land. This is a spiritual thing right here. We're going to go into Egypt again. The same way we were living in Egypt, we're going to go into that same way of life again because we broke the Lord's law. And then breaking the Lord's law, we have to get punished. No father is going to let a child break his law without punishing him. You know what I'm saying? So let's continue. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. We're going to be sold unto our enemies. That word again, enemies. See, we have enemies. And who were we sold to? Who were we sold to? Those Africans kidnapped us, got paid to kidnap us. That's why Mansa Musa was so rich. They got paid to kidnap black people and Hispanic people. Kidnapped us. Sold us to our oppressor. Sold us to our enemies. For what? For bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Buy you is another word for redeem you. No man's going to redeem you. No man's going to save you. No man's going to get you out of this predicament. Not no Martin Luther King, not no Malcolm X, nobody. Except for Christ. So, who went into slavery by ships? And who bought us? Who sold us? Our enemies sold us to our enemies. Africans sold us to Caucasians, to Arabs, to Asians. We were sold to everybody. That's why we scattered across the four corners of the earth. There's not a place that you can go you won't see a black or Hispanic person. We were sold all over the earth. Let's continue. No, let's drop that. Let's get Amos 9 and 4. Amos 9 and 4. Let's get with it. Amos 9 and 4. All right. If you're there, read along with me. Amos chapter 9, verse 4. And though they go into captivity before their enemies. Like, yo, this is talking about black, Hispanic, and Native people. We went into captivity in front of the whole world, before the whole world. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. This will I command the sword, and it shall slay them. It's going to slay all those people who was involved in the pain, in the torture, in the enslavement of black, Hispanic, and Native people. This is a future prophecy here. That sword is going to come very soon. It's going to lay down blood. It's going to fill these streets. Our enemy is going to be slain right before us every day. And it's going to be a glorious thing. See, the Bible tells you you have enemies. You just got to see them for who they are. That's the problem. We don't see them for who they are. Well, let's continue. Thence I will command the sword, and it shall slay them. And I will set my eyes upon them for evil and not for good. So that's what's going to happen. See, the Bible's telling you you got enemies, black man. The Bible's telling you that. Well, what you going to do about it? You're going to still continue to love everybody like the Christian pastor teaches? Or you're going to separate yourself from these enemies? Or you're going to separate yourself from those who are torturing your own people? The reason why your mother is in the strip club is because of our enemies. The reason why she got an OnlyFans is because of our enemies. The reason why your brother's selling drugs right now is because of our enemies. The reason why your father's strung out on drugs is because of our enemies. All the pain that we go through every day is because of our enemies. And you just got to recognize them for who they are. They are poisoning the whole earth. They're not just your enemies. They are literally poisoning the whole earth. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue with it. Salakia, bear with me. Oh no, I did that. I did that already. I did that. Let's go to Jeremiah 12:7. Jeremiah 12:7. Get there with me, y'all. All right. Y'all there with me? Read along. All right, read along. Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 6. Verse 7. I have forsaken mine house. I have left mine heritage. Like, this is a black man who is recognizing the wrong and the error of his ways. He forsaken his own people. He don't deal with his own people. You know what I'm saying? He forsaken his own house. Now, house can mean many things. It can mean your physical house, your building. It can mean those that's in your family, or it can mean the whole big house, which is the whole nation. He has forsaken that. You know what I'm saying? I have left mine heritage. That's how you know it's talking about the whole nation, because he left his heritage. He left that what belonged to him, which is his people. There's more to heritage than just the land that's left to you and all that. No, it's your whole culture. He left his whole culture. And that's what a lot of us are doing today. A lot of us are forsaking our own people and forsaking our own culture, which is understandable about the culture part, because we don't really have a culture. Our culture was stripped from us. That's why we speak in our enemy's language. That's why we are under his military. We are protected by his military. We got to spend his currency. We really have no culture. That's why we get into the entertainment field and think that that form of entertainment is our culture, which, music and dance is a part of culture. Art is a part of culture, but it's probably like the smallest part. And that man is a man to the Most High that he left his culture. Let's get back to it. I have forsaken my house. I have left mine heritage. I have given the dearly beloved of my soul into the hand of her enemies. What is that telling you? We do that every day. We give what matters to us and the most important part of us to our enemies every day. We leave our culture and we praise our enemy. Follow our enemies. See, that's what Martin Luther King wanted. That was his dream. His dream really wasn't integration. Integration is a mixture of cultures. No, he wanted us to assimilate. which is one culture sucking in another. You being a good citizen, being a good citizen, and following the culture of our enemies. That's what assimilation is, and that's what he wanted. See, if it was integration, that means we would still have the things we had back then. That means our oppressor would be sitting at our restaurants. But no, you think they were going to go to a black restaurant back in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s? You think they were going to waste their time going to a neighborhood that they look down upon and eat at a restaurant that they look down upon and give their hard-earned money to a people that they look down upon? Our enemies don't think like us. Only we would think that it's okay to go into their neighborhoods and sit at their tables and eat their food and give them our hard-earned money instead of giving, Claritha or Sister Francis, giving them our money. You know what I'm saying? Only we think like that. Our enemy would never do that. Ever. You know what I'm saying? My heritage is unto me as a lion in the forest. It cried out against me. Therefore have I hated it. Because your heritage, our culture, our way of living, these scriptures, they speak against us. They speak against men who want to sleep with Caucasians. It speaks against them. It speaks against those who wants to eat crab, pork, shrimp, lobster. It speaks against them. It speaks against them that want to form drug habits and sell drugs. It speaks against them. That's what these scriptures do. So we turned around and we as a people are believing that our own people are our enemy because our culture speaks against the things that we want to do most. It speaks against the sins that we lust to do. You know what I'm saying? That's why we want to be around our enemies so much because they don't have a standard of living like we do. They don't have a way of life like we do that is stated in these scriptures. They got what you call freedom. They could do whatever they want. They could live however they want. They could wave their rainbow flags. They could do all types of manner of evil. And we want that same feeling. So we end up hating our own instead of hating our enemy. You know what I'm saying? But let's drop that. Let's get Jeremiah. Let's stay in Jeremiah. Let's get 17:4. Let's get 17:4. Why did I repeat myself? I don't know. Jeremiah 17:4. If you in Facebook or the YouTube, I'm typing it in the chat. All right. Type it in the chat, but I'm going to post it on the video too. Oh, yeah. Let me turn to it too. Dumb. Jeremiah chapter 17. Yeah, let's get with it. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. That is one of the punishments. That is a prophecy that is given to Black, Hispanic, and Native because we wasn't following the Most High's laws. So we would discontinue from our heritage. We would discontinue from our culture. That's why we are speaking our enemy's language right now. That's why we speak French, we speak Spanish, we speak English, we speak Portuguese. That's why. That's why. Because the simple fact is, we wasn't following the Most High's law. The simple fact is, these scriptures were speaking against our lusts and our desires. So we end up hating our own people instead of hating our enemies who is tempting us to do these evils. So what do? We start hating on each other. You know what I'm saying? But the scripture's telling us right here that we shall discontinue from thine heritage. And that's what we did. That's why we have no culture. We have none. You know, you like to believe hip hop is our culture, but hip hop is just a form of entertainment. It's just a small part of a culture. Culture also has language. We don't have language. To have a culture, you have to have a land. We have no land. We have no heritage. We have nothing to pass down to our kids. Nothing. What you gonna pass down to your kids? A Jay-Z tape? You gonna pass down to your kids a NLE Chopper download? Well, what you gonna pass down to them? You gonna teach them how to do graffiti? Wow. We have nothing to pass down to our kids except for what our enemies give us. That's all we have. We have no real heritage. We have no land of our own. We have no military. We have no economy. We have nothing. As a people, we have nothing. So we start hating on our own. We have nothing, so we start hating on our own, looking down on our own, and looking up to those who have things, looking up to those who have a currency, economy. You know what I'm saying? Looking up to those who have their own military, and we start joining their militaries. Looking up to those who have their own language. We look up to everybody but our own people. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. See, this is the important thing that you got to know. Our heritage, which is in these scriptures, our culture, which is in these scriptures, comes from God himself. This comes straight from the Most High, and we despise it. That's why we're going through the things we go through. Because our rejection of our heritage and our culture, which is in these scriptures, is also a rejection of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. That's why we out in America serving an enemy that don't give a 2 cents about us. We are just cattle to him. We are expendable. We are something that makes him fat, that fills his belly. He's entertained by us. He fulfills his lust with us. He puts us in the front of the war to protect him from the bullets pointed at him. You know what I'm saying? This is the life that we live. And we are proud to jump in front of that bullet for our enemies and throw the bullet at our brothers. We are proud to do it. You seen the pride of Black and Hispanic people that are in the military? How much they love our oppressor and how much they are so proud to be in the American military, to be that sacrificial pawn. You see how proud they are when they do that? You see how proud we are when we are the first Black in something white? When we are the first Hispanic in something white? We are the first to do something in their culture, in their hair, in their way of life. We feel special. There's nothing special about it. Love your own. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. Look, us loving our enemies, us loving our oppressor, is straight up and down upsetting the Most High. We are kindling a fire in him. We're going to feel those flames of hell. We're going to feel those flames straight up and down because the simple fact we are feeling it now. We are feeling. Now, I want to read that whole scripture from the top and hopefully it sinks in. That's all I hope. Hope that somebody is understanding this scripture and understanding how we have to separate from our enemies. Let's read this again. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. This is a serious ordeal, man. This is a serious ordeal. That's why us in the I.S.U.P.K call for separation, segregation. Get out of their militaries. Get out of their police departments. Not everybody's going to tell you that. Not everybody's going to tell you to separate from our enemy on that degree. There's some so-called Israelite groups that would tell you it's okay to be in their military. It's okay to be in their police department. And you know what that does? That pushes you further into hating your own people. That pushes you further into doing it. You remember those 5 black cops that beat a brother to death? That beat a brother to death with their hands. 5, I think it was like 5-1. And there was an oppressor there overseeing. There was an oppressor there. You know what I'm saying? And this is what happens when we tie ourselves into their system. This is what happens when we start loving them more than we love each other. We start killing each other. We start hating each other. We start looking down upon each other. I beg for you to find somebody that is in the police department, a black person in the police department. Just talk to him for a second. Ask him his opinion on certain black issues. See if he conforms with us or he conforms with our enemies. Ask somebody who's in the military. See where their love and their loyalty is behind. Is it behind your people or is it behind this country? Ask them that. Ask them, and I bet you're going to see it. Hey, don't even have to ask them. Ask their children. Ask their children. Even they will carry that pride will be passed down to them. Guaranteed. That pride will be passed down to them. They will love it. They will enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? They will carry that same love that their father had. Know why? Because their father being in the military fed them. Their father being a part of the police department put clothes on their back. And that's all they care about. Some of the most selfish people are those who basically how may I put it? Who, because we all work for our enemy, basically who are put in a higher standard by our enemy. Those of us who are politicians, those of us who are in the civil service of this country, those of us who are um, in the clergy, they look at our problems as small. They will carry the mind state of our oppressor when it comes to black issues. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of things that they do. You know what I'm saying? But let's drop that. Let's get into hold on one sec. Let's drop that. Let's get Lamentations 1 and 5. Let's get Lamentations 1 and 5. And let me show it up there. Keep it up there so you can see it. Let me get there with you. Pretty sure y'all got there before I did. Lamentations. Should I start ahead of it? Hold on. Actually, let's start up at 3. Let's go to 3. Hold on. Let's start at verse 3. Lamentations 1 and 3. All right. Lamentations chapter 1, verse 3. Judah is gone into captivity because of affliction and because of great servitude. She dwelleth among the heathen. That's what we are doing today. That is exactly black people today. You know what I'm saying? Let me repeat that. Judah is gone into captivity because of affliction, and because of great servitude she dwelleth among the heathen. See, we are proud to go into slavery for them because of the affliction they are putting us through. Peep it. If food was put like this, if you could think about it like back then, right? If you could grow your own crop and your own livestock, right? Would you be working for them? No. But America has a lot of laws on farming. Not everybody can do it. Hell, in your own block, that little plot of land where everybody be putting that neighborhood farm, there's a lot of laws on that alone. Definitely can't grow your own livestock. So if you want some fresh lamb slaughtered today, you can't even do it unless you go to a farm and pay your enemy to do it. You know what I'm saying? We are, because of the affliction they are putting us into, we will gladly go into the military. We will gladly join the police department and further oppress our own people. We will gladly join their politics and further their agenda onto our own people. We will gladly do it. We would gladly put ourselves into captivity, further captivity. Because that's all integration and assimilation is. It's just a further form. We're just getting deeper into the captivity. Let's continue. She dwelleth among the heathen. She findeth no rest. All her persecutors overtook her between the straits. Who are our persecutors? Who is the black, Hispanic, and Native people's persecutors? Who's our persecutors? Who's persecuting us today? Put it like this. Let me help y'all out. Let's go into the Webster Dictionary. Let's go into the Webster Dictionary. We're going to type up persecute. Oh, I'm not even sharing screen. My bad. Let me share this with y'all. Persecute. It's a verb, right? To harass or punish in a manner designed to injure, grieve, or afflict, specifically to cause to suffer because of belief. To annoy, with persistent or urgent approaches such as attacks, pleas, importunities. That's is so basically who is punishing us? Who is harassing us? Who is, trying to injure us? Who is doing these things? Who is doing these things? Our enemies is doing those things. Now, if you got a more specific answer, then you are recognizing who your enemy is. If in your head you said Caucasian, Asian, East Indian, African. If you said anything more specific, then you are recognizing who our enemy is. But let me tell you something. If they ain't Black, Hispanic, or Native, they are our enemy. They're the ones persecuting us. So let me continue. Overtook her between the straits. Those are the people who is overtaking us. You know what I'm saying? The ways of Zion do mourn, because none come to the solemn feast. Look, we are in the midst of a solemn feast right now. Y'all know what feast we are in the midst of right now? We are in the Feast of Tabernacles right now. And how many of us is following it? How many Black, Hispanic, and Natives, how many people of Zion are following this feast? For sure ain't the majority of us. It's a very small minority. You know what I'm saying? All her gates are desolate. What is her gate? What is a gate? A gate is something that protects your land. A gate is something that protects your family. It keeps what you don't want outside. Only thing that should be able to come in is what you let the gate, what you allow the gate to come in. The gate is a form of protection. But our form of protection, our gates, are desolate. They are rusted. They are destroyed. Anything can come in and destroy us. Our gates are allowing anybody and everybody. Who are our gates today? Who are they? Who do Black people as a whole look at as our protectors, as our guide? Let me tell you, it's the Christian church. It's the Muslim mosque. It's those of our clergy. It's those who are seen as community leaders, the politicians, the so-called Negroes and Hispanics that's in the police department. We look up to them as protection. And guess what? They are desolate. They are destroyed. They aren't doing their job very well. Our gates ain't doing their job very well at all. How are they doing their job? I want to give you a couple examples how they ain't doing their job. This might upset some of y'all. Our gates, those people that we look up to, promote voting on us. You know what voting is doing? Voting is against the laws of God. I just want you to know that. Deuteronomy 17:5. Voting promotes us to pick somebody else to lead us. We are dependent on somebody else to solve our issues. That's what voting is. Voting is something that is purely for slaves. You know what I'm saying? And our leaders promote that. Our leaders promote that. So let's continue. Her priests sigh, her virgins are afflicted, and she is in bitterness. That means we are down and out. We are going through it just like we are going through it today. We are going through it today. The priests are sighing. Look, I'm sighing every day. I look at the condition of our people. I'm like, I look at the way our people do things, and I sigh every day. It's troubling. It's very troubling. You know what I'm saying? Her virgins are afflicted, man. We are destroying our little princesses. And believe me, the definition of virgin is not a woman that didn't have sex. It's a young, tender woman of marriageable age. And we are destroying these women. They are afflicted. They are getting kidnapped and thrown in sex trafficking rings. They're doing all that, man. Our women are afflicted, going through hell. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. And she is in bitterness. Our women are very bitter. She is very bitter. She has every right to be. Every right to be. You know what I'm saying? Her adversaries are the chief. Her enemies prosper. For the Lord hath afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions. Her children are gone into captivity before the enemy. That's what it is, man. We have enemies. We're going to always have enemies. But the point is, right now, our enemies are ruling over us. We don't even rule ourselves. See, everybody think this melting pot because the world now is a giant melting pot. Let's admit that. Everybody believe that this melting pot way of living is natural. So we don't recognize ourselves as a nation of people like it was back in the day when there was barely any melting pots. Only melting pots back in the day were those empires that was oppressing other nations. Greece was a melting pot. Rome was a melting pot. Egypt was a melting pot. And all those melting pots had the same fate. America is a melting pot. Every country on this planet now is a melting pot. And guess what? They are going to have the same same fate. We are going to go back into our own lands. We are going to separate. The melting pots won't be melting pots no more. Every man's going to turn to his true neighbor, to his own family, and this place is going to get destroyed. Mainly because of what they are doing to us as a people. Mainly because of that. Mainly because that brother suffering on that street corner, panhandling. This world got to suffer because of that. Because that woman that is stripping on the stripper pole just to make $1 to feed her kids, the world got to suffer because of that. Mainly because the brother that's selling drugs and the brother that's buying the drugs, the world got to get destroyed because of that. And it will get destroyed, and it shall get destroyed. It fully deserves it. This world, this society, this way of life needs to go. It needs to disappear because it's no good for us. I mean, yeah, every other nation is doing fine with it, but us as Black, Hispanic, and natives, nah. Every Black, Hispanic, and native should be yearning to see the day that America falls. That should be something that you should be dreaming about every night. You should be dreaming about it. But no, a lot of us rather go into their military, and a lot of us truly do believe that America will never, ever fall. A lot of us believe that. A lot of us can't even picture America getting attacked by a foreign nation, never mind a foreign entity. We can't even see that even after the towers fell. We don't even consider that a real attack. We consider that terrorism and not a war. You know what I'm saying? But let's get with it. Oh, she and her children are gone into captivity before thine enemies. You know, captivity biblically is more than what you think it is. It's not just slavery. It's, captivity is like anything that we do that benefits our oppressor more than it benefits us. It's us joining their military. We are in captivity when we join their military. When we forsake our own and serve them, any type of servitude. Our job is literally a slavery. It's our captivity. Because it's not benefiting us as a people, no matter what you do. from the brother that's flipping burgers at Burger King to the sister that is in the city council. None of it is benefiting us as a people. So guess what it is? It's servitude. It's slavery. Yes, even our jobs, it's slavery. So we are still in slavery today. We are still in slavery today. You know what I'm saying? But let's drop that. I ain't going to go further. I was almost tempted to go further. Hold on. Bear with me one sec. Where should I go next? Yeah, let's go to Ecclesiastes. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. I know. Ecclesiastes 12:7, I believe. Matter of fact, let me get there before I type it in. Oh yeah, if you can't find it, it's because you probably don't have the King James Version 1611. This is in the Apocrypha. You know what I'm saying? This is something that's in the Apocrypha. And the Apocrypha is a set of books that was taken out of the scriptures. The Apocrypha is a set of books that was taken out of the scriptures by the Roman Catholic Church. The church took it out because the simple fact is it makes them look bad. It makes them look horrible. You know what I'm saying? It makes them look real bad. So what they did was take it out and took out a big part of history. Took out a big part of history. Like the Apocrypha covers the Greek era. If you read the Bible without the Apocrypha, you're going to notice that it just goes from one era, skips over the Greek, and you're instantly in Rome. You're dealing with the Roman Empire once Christ comes on the scene. You know what I'm saying? But let's get with it. If you're there, you did. Oh, I never typed it in. My bad. Hold on. Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha 12 and I believe 6 or 7. Let's go with 7. 12 and 7. Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha 12 and 7. Let me get there. Oh, I was way off. My bad. I was way off. It's Ecclesiastes 12 and 10. All right. Well, y'all get it up there. Y'all see it. I put 7, but let me get 10 up there. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 10. All right. If you're there, let me put it up there. If you're there, read along with me. Matter of fact, let's start with 8. Let's start with 8. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 8. A friend cannot be known in prosperity. You understand what that means? When you're doing good, you can't tell who your friends is. You can't tell who your enemies is. You're doing good. Somebody could be using you just for what you're doing good with. For money, for such and such, for this, for that. They could be using you for anything. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, hold on. And an enemy cannot be hidden in adversity. An enemy cannot be hidden in adversity. Guess what? Your enemy, when you're doing down and out, when you're doing bad, you're gonna see who your enemies are. You're gonna notice who your enemy are. And guess what? Us as a people, we're doing bad. We're doing bad. You go to Jamaica. Jamaica's being ran by Asians and East Indians. You're gonna see who your enemy is. You go to Haiti. Haiti is being oppressed by America and France. You're gonna see who your enemy is. Mexico's being ran by Spaniards, and it's so messed up down there that America is oppressing them too. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna see who your enemies is because they just looking for a little piece, a little slice, a little relief, a little safety in America. And your oppressor will not let you cross that border. You're gonna see who your enemy is. Your enemy cannot be hidden when you're doing bad. You're gonna notice who your enemies are, but when you're doing good, you ain't gonna know who your friends are. You ain't gonna know. Everybody wants to be your friend when you're doing good. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. In the prosperity of a man, enemies will be grieved. Because when you're doing good, your enemies are upset. Like once upon a time in the Jim Crow era, we will not admit it because of MLK and his desire for us to integrate. But we were doing good back then. We were building all types of HBCUs. We had all types of businesses. We had Black Wall Street, and believe me, Black Wall Street ain't the only city of this kind. And in our prosperity, in us doing good for ourselves, what did our enemy do? Our enemy destroyed our prosperity. Our enemy destroyed it and drove fear into us. And with that fear, now we feel safe amongst them, which is crazy in my house. It's crazy. We feel safer among the same people who destroyed our cities, but we feel safer integrating. That's mad wild. But let's continue. But in his adversity, even a friend will depart. Like when you're doing bad, that person that you considered a friend, he's chucking up those deuces. A lot of us believe that our enemies are our friends. But as soon as you start doing bad, they ain't gonna be seen. I know a lot of you probably did some stuff back in the day that you ain't proud of. You probably did some things with some of our enemies, some Caucasians, some Asians, whatever. But as soon as things hit the fan, where they at? They're looking out for themselves. They're either disappearing or they're snitching or something. They will show you that they are not your friends sooner or later. Let's continue. Verse 10. Never trust thine enemies. The scripture is telling you right then and there, never to trust your enemies. Never trust them. Never trust our enemies, man. Never trust them. Never. See, trusting our enemies is why I think on next Monday there's going to be a day that celebrates one of our enemies, Columbus. And the trusting of him is why we are in this situation also. When the scriptures straight up tell us never to trust our enemies. Christopher Columbus was an enemy. Christopher Columbus was an enemy. And a lot of us is going to celebrate that. And in a month, we're going to be, well, in a month or two, about 2 months, we're going to celebrate the work of Christopher Columbus, which is Thanksgiving. All his murder and his slaughtering of our brothers, the natives. We're going to end up celebrating that. You know what I'm saying? if you saying F Columbus Day, but you're going to celebrate Thanksgiving, you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite, straight up and down. Talking about you stand with the natives for Indigenous People Day instead of Columbus Day, but you're going to end up celebrating Thanksgiving. You're going to be slicing in some turkey that day. I don't even have a turkey sandwich on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, I'm eating steak. And I ain't picking out like everybody else either. Yeah, I might just have a bag of chips that day. That might be it. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Yo, our enemy's rust will show. It's guaranteed. His wickedness will show. It's guaranteed. No matter how much you trust them, no matter how much they pander to you, no matter how they kiss up to you, their wickedness will show. It's guaranteed to show. Guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? At one point, the whole hip hop community trusted Donald Trump. Donald Trump was in a whole bunch of hip hop videos. He was talked about. He was the man. Hip hop trusted Donald Trump. But like Iron Rusteth, his wickedness will show, and it has. And it will again. And it will some more. Just like Biden. Biden's wickedness will show. That's why we shouldn't be voting. Period. Because that's you trusting your enemy. You voting is you trusting your enemy. You are trusting your enemy to solve black issues. You are trusting your enemy to solve our issues. When has he ever shown you that he even cares about our issues? When? But let's continue. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. It's for sure. Take heed, no matter how down with the cause he may seem, no matter how long he been in the hood, no matter how much slang he talks, no matter what, no matter how much, hot sauce she got in the purse, no matter how much he tells you you're not black if you don't vote for him, no matter how much of that, guess what? You're going to see him for who he is. Everything will become clear to you sooner or later. You will recognize him for the devil that he is sooner or later. And I pray sooner. Because later he's just going to use and abuse you that whole entire time. That's why us in the I.S.U.P.K, we really don't trust them. All we do, we go to work, we come home. You're going to hear about us going out for a beer after work with our oppressor. You ain't going to hear that. Because we don't trust them. After work, you go with them, you're going to end up in a park drunk, waking up, clothes missing. You don't know what happened to you that night. Because those are the type of people that they are. Their rust will show. Let's continue. Set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Man, don't even have him next to you. Because when he does overtake, he's going to take your place. He's going to take your place. A lot of y'all think that white boy that got the weed at your job, man, y'all think that he's cool. He about to be your supervisor. He's telling everybody, yeah, he's smoking and everything. He's telling the boss man all your faults. And he's about to be your supervisor. He's going to overtake thee. All oppressor, all in all. wants to be in our place, period. He wants to be us, period. Because the Most High gave us what he believes belongs to him, which it doesn't. He sold it for a piece of meat. He sold his heritage, his blessing, for a piece of meat because he thought he was going to die. And us being brotherly, we gave it to him, but it was for exchange of his blessing. But he wants that back desperately. So since he can't have it back, he wants to kill us. He has an insatiable bloodlust for us. You can't quench this. This cannot be quenched at all. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you kiss up to him, he will show his bloodlust for you sooner or later. Well, let's continue. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. What is that saying? That's saying you're going to remember these words that we're telling you today. You're going to remember something. He's going to do something. You're going to be like, oh, man, they told me he was going to do something like that. Everything's going to become clear. You're going to be pricked by it, man. We're hoping that these words just pricking you, just reminding you every day that they are your enemies and you should not trust them. You should not trust them, period. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent? Who's going to pity a charmer that's bitten with a serpent? Who's going to pity that charmer? What does that mean? You are playing with a wild beast, man. You are playing with a dangerous animal when you are cozying up to your enemy. When you are cozying up to our oppressors. You are playing with a poisonous snake. You're just playing with it. You're just trying to charm it. And when that snake bites you, who's going to pity you? Who's going to pity you? For one, you look dumb. You look dumb. You know that's a snake. You know that's a serpent. You know that's our oppressor. He has a history of straight up and down destroying us. That is his history. And you don't see it? You don't see him for who he is. And that's the problem. That's the problem. That's why these words are going to prick you, because you sooner or later are going to see him for who he is. Sooner or later, you're going to see him for who he is. Right? Or any such as come nigh wild beasts. Who's going to pity? Like, how many of us pity that dude that got killed by that stingray? What was his name? That dude that's always messing with the animals. Steve Irwin. How many of us actually felt bad for Steve Irwin? Who felt bad? He's always messing with the animals. We knew an animal was going to take him out sooner or later. We just surprised it was a stingray. One of the most docile animals on the planet took him out. Bang, stabbed him right in the heart. Bang, dead. That's what you're doing when you are around them. You are playing with wild beasts. You are all up in their face. You are playing with a wild beast, man. Don't get surprised when you end up with a drug habit chilling with them. Strung out, chilling on mass and cast. Looking for that next hit because you thought they were cool. You thought they were cool people. Don't be surprised if you end up in jail and they end up walking because you thought they were cool people. Don't be surprised they end up your supervisor and you end up fired because you thought they were cool people. Don't be surprised if they end up the best in something that you created. They're the best in hip hop. Eminem's the best. It's something that you created. He took your place. He took You right on out of it. Conversation don't even include black people no more. You know what I'm saying? That's the life that we live in. Let's continue. Verse 14. So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? Guess what? You being around them, you will be doing the same weird things they are doing. You'll be doing the same weirdo stuff that they do. And we all know our oppressor does some weird things. He does some weird things. You know what I'm saying? And who will pity you? You're around them. Birds of a feather flock together. You're around him, you're going to be doing the same weirdo stuff he does. You're going to be on Epstein Island touching little kids. That's what you're going to be doing. Because they are so cool. They're cool people. They're cool peoples. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue with that. Let's continue. Salaka, bear with me. For a while he will abide with thee. He may seem cool for the moment. He cool with you right now. He's chilling with you right now. Everything's copacetic. But if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. As soon as he falls, as soon as you start falling, he out. He out. He done what he wanted to do. Got out of it what he wanted. He will not tarry. He will not be sticking around. He will not be hanging around this crashing ship. Let's continue. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, man. You might like the things he's saying. He sounds good. Things he's saying sounds good. Don't it sound good to say God loves everybody? That sounds good. That sounds real nice. Doesn't it sound good that you could eat whatever you want as long as you pray over it? That sounds nice. That sounds real nice. He speaks sweetly with his lips. He will tell you all the nicest things he can. He will tell you whatever you need to hear, whatever makes you feel good. Let's continue. But in his heart, he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. But deep down inside, he got plans for you. Deep down inside, he got plans. And that's Biden and Trump. They both got plans to use and abuse and further pull whatever blood they can get out of this stone called Black and Hispanic people. That's what they are going to do. Let's continue. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. As soon as he finds an opportunity, you dying will not be enough. He will further oppress your kids, your woman. He has an insatiable bloodlust. Nothing could quench it, no matter how much he destroys you. Don't be suckered by him. Don't be a sucker. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. All the black problems that black people have today, all the Hispanic problems that Hispanic people have today, all the native problems that native people have today, who's behind them? Who's behind them? You go on a reservation, you know what I'm saying? You go on a reservation, you'll see plenty of liquor stores. It might be the only store that's actually open. They might be the only store that's actually open. You ain't gonna see no other store open. Some reservations are down and out and bad. You go to the barrio. You know what I'm saying? Who's putting drugs in the neighborhood? You go to the ghetto, there's reports of in Chicago about crates of guns, crates of machine guns being found. Who's dropping those off? Last I checked, there ain't no black there ain't no black gun shops. There ain't one. So who's dropping off those guns? Who's dropping off those drugs? We don't own one poppy field plant, nothing. We don't own none of that. So who's doing it? Our enemies. Our enemies doing it. Let's continue. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. Pay attention. He will undermine you. He has no interest in benefiting you. None at all. Just understand this. Everything that he does, everything that you may think that is good that he produces is actually to destroy you. He never gave us nothing that actually benefited us. We look for housing, we got projects. Look at us now. We begged for financial assistance, he made welfare, and guess what? We're not the ones that's mainly on it. It's mainly Jewish women. They're the largest demographic on it. None of this is for us, man. Let's finish it up. This is the last verse right here. Verse 18. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. Mm. Mm, mm, mm. That's what he's doing. He is celebrating your destruction. And his countenance would change. You will see him for who he is, man. You will see that demon, that devil for who he truly is. So I urge you to stay away from him. Be around your brothers, man. Look out for your brothers. Look out for your people, like the scripture in Zephaniah 2:1 says. Gather yourself together, O nation, not to divide. We're not gathered. We're chilling amongst our enemies. And we are just open prey. We are just prey out there. You know, and with that, I'm going to end the class. All right. Don't forget, we are in the midst of the Feast of Tabernacles. You know what I'm saying? Brothers in the UK are holding it down, they celebrating it out there. I'm broke. Couldn't make it. We're going to try to make it next time, though. But with that, shalom.